right. Thank you for tuning in. 6 minutes after 9 o'clock, we have on the phone Darral Williams. He retired from owning a construction business, and now he has become a novelist. That's pretty exciting. And I was looking on Amazon, and he's doing really well. He's got 5-star ratings for his new book called The Last Friend. And he's on the phone right now to talk to us about it. Good morning, Darral. It's an honor to have you on our show. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. Okay. Now, the story takes place in Arkansas. Am I right?
Yes. Well, it starts in Arkansas. Yes. Ends up in Washington, D.C. It's a political. Well, it's not really a political thriller. It's just about a crooked politician.
Oh gosh. Do we have it? Do we have that in America? Crooked politicians?
No, I had to research very deeply to find that. I'm an example of that.
So, how did this start for you? I mean, were you writing earlier on in your life, or was this something you decided to start doing after you retired?
No, it's something I always wanted to do. In fact, I think that writers, you've heard that old cliche, writers write because they have to write. I think writers always want to do it. It's not something that you decide at the age of retirement. Say, I think I'll just sit down and write me a story. No, that's not the way it happens. You wanted to do it all your life. Every time something happened to me, a funny incident or just some dramatic incident that happened maybe at the park or something, I would say, man, this would make a good story.
Wow, yeah. You know what? I think I'm observing in us human beings that we all, for some reason, need to hear stories. Whether it's from a TV, a movie, a book, or just gossip, we all somehow need to. And it's constant. We're constantly absorbing stories.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, TV wouldn't exist if we didn't have it, except maybe for the news, if we didn't have that sort of entertainment in our lives.
It is fascinating. But yet we've just like we're very, very good at identifying faces. Like you could be apart from your friend for 40 years. If you see him again, you'll know it's him.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And I think in that same way, we're not all good writers, but we're all good at identifying what a good book is. That's, I guess, what I wanted to get at there.
Yeah, I think so. I've read a few really good novels in my life, and I've read some that I wonder how on earth did they get this thing published. I heard an editor told me once, my editor told me once that she had edited a book. The guy changed the main character's name in the middle of the book. Man, I can't believe it.
Oh no!
You must be truly fascinated with period pieces. This is a period piece from the 1960s.
Yes, actually, my reason for choosing the 1960s my story takes place in 1963. My reason for choosing that year is the monumental change that started. It started with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I went to. I woke up that morning of November the 22nd, an innocent young boy in his adolescence, and I went to bed that night as a changed young man. It was unheard of in our time, and from there things just. Change was everywhere. The civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, and I mean, I lost some friends in Vietnam, and it just changed your life. And it's something you don't ever forget is your adolescence and your growing up years. And mine was. And everybody that's of my generation knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, yeah.
The way it just changes you.
So the protagonist in your book is an investigator named David Squire.
Yes.
Tell me about him. Where does he come from?
David Squire. Well, he's your typical hero, I guess you might say. The best way to describe it is just tell you a little bit about the story.
Yeah.
And it'd be a little bit easier for me. As we talked about, the story takes place in '63. Joe Carter is a dying man. Joe Carter is losing everything. His business, his home, everything. His wife is going to be homeless after he's gone, to make matters worse. And so he calls on his old friend, David Squire. They grew up together on the farms down in southern Arkansas. And he calls on David who happens to be a private investigator, and he calls on him to come down and see what he can do to maybe deal with the guy who got Joe Carter, in the mess that he's in. And also another schoolmate of theirs who grew up with him. He was from Old Money. David comes down and tries to deal with this guy. So basically, what it boils down to is that the story really tells just how far one man would go and just how much he would risk to help a dying friend. And it's a fast-paced thriller involving, of course, Washington corruption and greed, murder of the innocent, the whole works.
Yeah.
And being a police investigator, that had to have been different back then than it is now. You must have had to do a lot of research on their ways.
Yes, I did. And there's a reason why they call those old-fashioned guys gumshoes. They had to do a lot of leather to the sidewalk, you might say. There was no internet, there was no cell phones, and investigations. It was like, my dear Watson, it's this way. It's just it was different back then. It was. Well, I guess basically the same. Find this and find that, and this leads you to that. But they didn't have forensic science, as an example. There was no DNA. You could only you could prove things by the guy had the same blood type, but was left on the murder scene, perhaps, but you couldn't prove it was him. And but so investigations, it was just a whole lot more, as I said, leather to the sidewalk. You just had a lot. It was a lot more to the basic investigation procedure.
One rare thing about your book is that every single review gave you 5 stars. Every single reviewer, I should say. So that's very unusual to see that, to have 5 across the board. You have a website. What is the website?
It's darralwilliams.com. That's DARRAL. That's an unusual spelling, but it is on my birth certificate like it, so I'm stuck with it. And it's also Darral Williams Author on Facebook.
Okay, excellent. And on your website, you can buy the book? I see. I'm looking on your website right now. Oh, I found it. Okay, Barnes & Noble and Amazon links are both there.
Yeah, we don't sell on the website. Publisher, I don't sell books. I just write them.
You write them, okay.
It's available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble and bookstores everywhere.
Well, Darral, nice to meet you. If you ever are in the Central Florida area, we would love to have you in the studio.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. In fact, I'd love to go down there. I've been down into Florida some, but I don't think I've ever been as far as Ocala.
Okay, well, it'd be nice to have you here. It's a beautiful day today. I'm sure it's nice in Louisiana as well. Are you in Mississippi? Where are you again?
I'm in Mississippi. I was raised in Louisiana.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Darral Williams. Again, the book is called The Last Friend. His website is darralwilliams.com. The book, The Last Friend, easy to find on Amazon. Thank you, Darral.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.